Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Who do you consider to be your leader? There's a presumption here that your employer is your leader. While this may be true in a hierarchical sense, putting your career's future in the hands of someone else removes you from the driver's seat. You are, in fact, in command. Your ability to take charge of your own destiny, even in the context of a business, is a crucial component of a successful career. So, when should you take the initiative and lead yourself? Even if you have a fantastic employer, you should always be prepared. According to experts, a manager should have between 4 to 6 direct reports to be able to devote my complete attention to them. Today's managers, on the other hand, frequently have teams of up to 15 employees. And there's a good possibility. In addition to being a leader, your boss has another job. Even the most capable leaders can become overwhelmed at times. Could become sidetracked and unable to lead you. And if your supervisor is a jerk, it becomes much more important to lead oneself. It is up to you to take charge of your education, your own growth and self-leadership. We have a total of 38 people working with leaders for many years to boost emotional involvement as well as a competitive advantage. We specialize in the formation of organizations and individuals that are unique in the marketplace. Join the conversation on LinkedIn Learning as we go over how to make objectives, stay motivated, and more. Develop networks, and keep the momentum of a self-starter throughout your entire professional life. Maybe you have a great boss who is always there for you. Or perhaps you have a terrible or overworked supervisor who refuses to, or are unable to spend sufficient time to leadership. In any case, taking charge of your own destiny begins with you. Help evaluating your current leadership position at work. Making the decision to lead oneself is a significant step, because it signifies that you are in command of your career. A part of your fate. You will become self-sufficient if you learn to lead yourself. Improve your ability to lead people by becoming more self-aware. Most managers now fall into one of three categories: good, awful, or indifferent. Or well-intentioned but overburdened. Let's speak about the qualities that constitute a good boss. This supervisor provides you with helpful and constructive comments or guidance, and good employers value their employees. Who is capable of leading themselves? Even the best bosses become overworked. So that they don't have to be concerned about you, you become even more valued as a result of this. When executed properly, leading yourself does not imply that you are taking risks. You're stepping on your boss's toes. It suggests you're lifting some of their responsibilities off their plate and ensuring that they are successful, something that every excellent employer values. Then there's the villainous boss. This is the boss that refuses to provide you with any feedback. They don't seem to care about your progress. They only appear to rely on you when they've made a mistake. We've all been in that situation. Having a poor boss can be really difficult. Leading oneself is crucial in this situation. And you'll have to accomplish it without much help. On the plus side, this can result in a lot of white space to allow you to create your own goals and take control of your own personal growth. It's important to remember that just because you have a lousy employer doesn't mean you're alone. Peers, mentors, and other people can still help you, as well as on internet forums. Finally, there's the boss who is overworked. This is the most popular boss type. They're well-intentioned, too. However, there aren't enough hours in the day to accommodate them, to devote as much time and attention to you as they desire. Any effort you make will most likely be appreciated by your boss. To take charge of your own destiny, your lane is wide open for you to take the ball. Recognizing the current state of your leadership is essential for creating a self-leadership strategy. If your boss is an excellent communicator, however, it is not so good at assisting you in setting goals. You can develop the ability to define your own objectives. If your employer can give a great pep talk, you'll be in good shape. Isn't it true? however, that performance reports aren't great. You have the option of evaluating your own performance and provide prospects for future growth. It is not your job to oust your employer. It is your responsibility to direct your own growth. Whatever side of the political spectrum your boss is on, self-leadership will help you advance in your job. Consider the following as we progress through this course. Which of these three groups does your supervisor belong to? And how you can take advantage of them to help you become a better leader. The tone and direction of a meeting are set by the leader. So, while you're attempting to lead yourself, be proactive. It's entirely up to you to establish the tone. You want to make something for your job, and determine which path you should take. To get your self-leadership plan off to a good start, begin by identifying your most promising prospects. Please respond to the following 3 questions. First and foremost, what does your supervisor or business require? Consider your department's goals and objectives. And the company for which you work is focused on innovation, internal growth, or client retention. What can you do in your role to make a difference? Second, what is the state of the industry? The majority of people do not do this. They simply consider their own business. You'll need to take a step back and look at things from a different perspective. Consider your competitors as well as the industry as a whole. What are some of the tendencies you've noticed? What's different now? Having a good understanding of the industry will not only make you a more valuable employee, but it will also increase your productivity. It will assist you in deciding where to spend your time when you're in charge of your own destiny. Third, where have you been as a person? Have you ever been successful in the past? You want to pursue possibilities that will allow you to shine and take pleasure in the process because you enjoy the work you do the most. Will be the job that yields the finest outcomes for you. Consider how you fit within the organization's goals. Consider the areas where you've had success. Do brainstorming, project management, and leadership appeal to you? It's critical to understand your own strengths in deciding how to spend your time and energy. You have a job and daily responsibilities. Leaders go above and beyond what is required of them. When taking a look at your side ventures, your self-motivation and learning and development, these inquiries will provide you with a lens on where you can add the greatest value and achieve the most success. Have you ever glanced at your to-do list for the day? I felt compelled to take a nap right away. We've all done it. Many of us look for answers in these situations. To keep motivated, talk to your employer or organizational leader. It is, however, a perilous trap. As a result, you're reliant on someone else to motivate you. You can't rely on external factors. To control the temperature of your emotions, you have an option as a leader. You can either be a thermometer that measures the temperature or a thermometer that measures the time, or a temperature-controlling thermostat. Let's start with a definition of motivation. Deep motivation is just that. If you've worked for a while, you know what I'm talking about. That not every day will be filled with excitement. There will be difficult times when you must dig deep in order to maintain long-term motivation, even when the odds are stacked against you. This is where the distinction is made. Comes in between passion and purpose. When you are enthusiastic about your work, you are said to be passionate about it. When you believe your work has a purpose, it means you believe it is making a difference to other people. In his 5-year study, he made groundbreaking discoveries. With a workforce of over 5,000 employees and supervisors, Morten Hansen, a Berkeley professor, looked into the distinction. To identify which has the most passion and which has the most purpose, a stronger influence on job performance. Employees who lacked both purpose and motivation and zeal were among the performers in the bottom 10%. When you're not excited, it's not unexpected. If you're dissatisfied with your job and believe it's pointless, you're not likely to go above and beyond. But here's where things start to get interesting. Employees who were enthusiastic, they were nevertheless poor performers in their jobs. if they didn't have a reason to exist. Employees who lacked enthusiasm but had a strong sense of purpose were substantially stronger performers in terms of score. Performer in the 64th percentile. Employees who had a strong sense of purpose as well as a strong sense of passion were rewarded in the top 80% of the population. To cultivate long-term motivation, attempt to connect to the goal instead of just the task of your labor. Make a mental image of how your work affects your coworkers, customers of your business, as well as the communities in which you work. This will assist you in maintaining your mojo. Consider the following questions. Who is relying on me to succeed at this? What effect will this have on them? What impact will this have on my company's ability to thrive? How am I personally progressing as a result of this? Even if it's difficult or tedious. We are all faced with difficult tasks, but we are all looking for the end result. For either your personal or professional development, maybe the world's improvement will assist you in pushing forward when your supervisor isn't in the office. Every career and organization has its ups and downs. In many circumstances, the higher you go, the better. The more common they grow. To be your own leader, you'll need to be able to maneuver through those stormy waters. You must be tenacious and focused. Let's have a look at Dennis Charney's work. He's a psychiatric researcher. What it takes to be tenacious. To understand, Charney looked at prisoners of war. What gives someone the feeling of resiliency? And he discovered a slew of factors. The most crucial factor, though, was optimism. That isn't to say you have to be too hopeful. You must still be able to see objectively assessing the circumstances and maintain a sense of realism about the outcome. Jim Collins, author of Good to Great, is one of these researchers. This duality is known as the Stockdale Paradox. Admiral James Stockdale is the source of this information. Admiral Stockdale was a high-ranking commander in the Navy. In the Hilton, Hanoi. He was imprisoned for 7 years as a prisoner of war. He was beaten and tortured, but he was victorious. He was highly recognized with keeping the men alive during the war. Both physically and spiritually. When questioned about the distinction, he replied, "I don't know." Between naive optimism and tenacity. According to Stockdale, you must never mix up faith and belief. That you will come out on top in the end, which you must never, ever, 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 have the fortitude to face the harshest realities of your existing circumstances, whatever they may be. Now, when you consider your professional issues, they are most likely insignificant in comparison to Admiral Stockdale. However, we can make use of his knowledge to hone our own resiliency abilities. Examine the problem objectively. Confront the harsh realities. And maintain your steadfast faith that you are a strong leader who will succeed. When confronted with a problem, ask yourself, is it possible to overcome this obstacle? Is it possible for me to wait it out? Is it possible for me to take a different path? What is the problem's genuine impact? How serious will the consequences be if you don't succeed? Likewise, in the same breath, you must have faith in your ability to succeed. In the midst of choppy seas, here are 3 pointers to help you stay focused. First and foremost, keep your eyes on the prize. Consider your clients, your coworkers, and your competitors, as well as the section of the world that is reliant on you as well as your company. Here's another suggestion. Look for a minor victory. Organizations, teams, and individuals of all kinds adversity, but the chances are, not everything in life is a complete disaster. Find a way to score a swift victory so that everyone can rejoice. Last but not least, don't go it alone. When working in a demanding setting, it's all too simple to get isolated. Admiral Stockdale maintained in touch with his men to assist one another in overcoming the difficulty. Look for coworkers, mentors, or people who can help you, that assist you in remaining motivated and deal with the problems you're having at work. Make sure this doesn't turn into a whining session. You want to rely on people to aid you and boost you up. Not delve too deeply into ranting. Every profession and organization has its own set of challenges. There will be difficulties. How you navigate them will determine how successful you are as a leader. When you're in charge of your own destiny, even if your boss is fantastic, it's critical to take charge of your own development. Not only does this benefit you, but it also benefits others. Regarding your knowledge foundation, however, it also serves as a demonstration to upper management. Because you place a premium on personal development, this improves your worth to the company. Taking ownership of your own education necessitates the discovery of new information that you're interested in, and taking advantage of those as opportunities to learn. This could be in the form of ongoing education, a conference, or even a book. When you're asking your organization to put time or money into something, be specific. You must build a persuasive argument for your development. Here are 3 key points to remember. First and foremost, specificity. Make a plan for your growth. Having information and activities that are specific. If all you have to say is, "I'm looking for possibilities to learn and grow," you could just scream it into the void. If you're arguing with your supervisor or HR, presenting them with a clear message, it will be simpler for them to say yes. Do your homework and know exactly what you're doing. Before you ask, think about what you want. The second thing you must show is that you have value. When you want certain opportunities, be explicit. Emphasize the importance of this, making you more useful to the company, and the organization as a whole is more valued. What kind of outcomes or returns could the company expect? What should you expect from your investment? Emotion is the third theme. Yes, your boss and HR are curious. The investment will yield a monetary return on investment. However, they also want to see that you are enthusiastic and are genuinely concerned about it. You can demonstrate your desire to improve your talents by displaying your enthusiasm. Or, regardless of development, enhancing your leadership. You're looking for do something easy, smile, and talk about it, as well as making it simple for your leaders to say yes. Tell them why this is important to you. Organizations are looking for people that are passionate about what they do. Even if they don't say yes this time, it's a start. It puts you in a good light. But what if, after you've made your fantastic argument, your business is unwilling to invest in your growth the manner you had hoped? Some businesses have policies in place that don't give you a lot of leeway. In terms of education and development, there is yet hope. You can still be in charge of your own growth at a low or no cost. Consider the objectives you wish to achieve, or the areas that you wanted to strengthen. Here are some resources to consider in that light. You'll need a lot of study and development to get there. The first option is, of course, online education. Because you've already arrived, it's likely that one of 2 things has happened. Or your company is making an investment in your growth. Despite the fact that this is a leadership training, there are other courses available on more role-specific topics. Take use of them. There are also a plethora of books available on any subject. They're inexpensive, and they use your knowledge to a higher level. As the author of 5 books, I can attest to the fact that months, if not years, were spent by the author putting the finest content together by arranging it in the most practical manner for you, the person who is reading. If reading isn't your thing, Audible.com is a good place to start. Good audiobooks to listen to during your commute, or while you're working out, and there's always something to learn from people around you. Via way of networking, Meetup and other similar organizations host a plethora of free events for professionals, both in person and virtually, to benefit from each other's experiences. Even if these folks aren't in your field, they can help you. You will be more valued if you have a well-rounded knowledge foundation and show you how to see things in a new light. The most important thing to keep in mind is this: it is not from a place of weakness that you should develop yourself. It's a symbol of your fortitude. Have you heard of SMART objectives? They're concrete, quantifiable, and attainable. Time-based and realistic. They're also frequently dull and unappealing. Because they stifle your creativity, small and task-oriented goals are typical of SMART goals. They're frequently given to you by your boss. Things like completing the marketing report by Friday come to mind. I don't think Steve Jobs set the iPhone in motion. With a SMART objective, perhaps implementing the deployment. Creating it, most likely not. When you set SMART goals, you're more likely to play small. This isn't good for anyone. You must do more in order to lead yourself than what you've been asked to do. It necessitates that you define strategic objectives for yourself. Strategic objectives are becoming larger and more complex. Because they necessitate more than simply ticking a box that you were the one who accomplished it. A strategic aim is something that you want to achieve. I'd like to increase my leadership skills, for example. Boost organizational creativity, boost our market competitive differentiation. Strategic objectives are all about planning for the future. In deciding where you wish to concentrate your efforts. It all comes down to what you say yes to. And, maybe more crucially, what you refuse. When it comes to defining strategic objectives for oneself, concentrate on two things. The first is the effect. What role does your aim play in achieving personal and departmental objectives? Or the goals of the company? How will people differ from one another as a result of you achieving your objective? You don't need to know exactly how you'll get there, or even monitor your progress toward your goal when you first begin. However, you must comprehend everything completely. The impression you want to make. If a low-impact goal is desired, it's most likely not a good strategic goal for you to pursue. The engagement factor is the second element to consider. This is the clincher. We can set any number of SMART objectives we choose. However, if no one cares about them, the chances of achieving them are close to none. Consider why this objective is important to you. Why it's important to you when confronted with a problem or a difficulty. Do you think you'll be able to overcome it on your own? It's a good goal to have if you care a lot. If you can't get revved up about it, look for something else to do. You don't have to go into great depth. To begin making progress, you must first be aware of your aim. Adjusting as you go is an important part of learning. Concentrate on the probable consequences, as well as your personal connection to the objective. The rest will take care of itself. It does not imply that you must lead yourself, isolating yourself from the rest of the world. You might be thinking to yourself, well, I'm leading myself. Isn't that the whole point? Not to be reliant on others? Not totally, at least. Self-leadership needs self-awareness, dedication, and perseverance. It takes determination and ambition, but it also necessitates assistance. So, where do you look for that? Your supervisor is frequently a rock-solid support system. The best bosses, in fact, value it. When you're in charge of your own destiny, request affirmative feedback from your supervisor. Advice and possibilities for future development. It is not a good idea to lead yourself. Your boss's relationship will be strained. It is expected to improve. So don't be afraid to speak up. When telling your boss, be succinct. What form of feedback empowers you the most? A colleague can be a valuable source of assistance. You might be able to locate someone else in your company who is attempting to lead themselves. Sharing strategies and challenges might be beneficial. It's a little less alienating to be in charge of yourself. This is not the time to vent regarding your boss's lack of support or spread rumors about others. It's a chance for you to lend a helping hand, as well as support and encouragement for one another. A mentor from outside the company can also help. It's likely that the majority of people will agree. Some of your problems aren't role-specific. You wouldn't be able to explain them to your parents. A friend or a different mentor, you might think, well, they won't understand, and you're right. But having a viewpoint that isn't tethered to the office's politics or a specific task of your function might assist in bringing a new degree of insight to your situation. You'll lose the details if you share with someone else. And condense it to the most important points. Have the courage to be open and honest in these discussions. You can also get help from the internet. There's a lot more to the internet than memes. There are a lot of groups on LinkedIn and other places that include leadership, to education and growth, to more industry or role-specific groups, and these organizations provide you with the option to do so. To discuss problems and gain knowledge from others' experiences, you can get external help from a variety of places. When you're in charge of your own destiny, you build your own support network. To be able to lead oneself, you must first understand yourself. You've probably had to deal with performance reviews. Alternatively, a more upbeat version of the same from your manager or human resources. These standard appraisals, in most cases, on a basic level, evaluate your job performance. Are you able to demonstrate that you have the necessary skills? Where are you missing the mark? Is your remuneration reasonable? However, when it comes to self-evaluation, if you wish to take a closer look at yourself, a more complex set of classifications. First and foremost, how are you feeling? Is it true that you're unwell or not? But how do you feel about your job? What is your degree of motivation? When do you feel the most energized? What is your opinion of your working relationship with your boss? Emotions are important because they influence your performance. After you've assessed your work-related emotional condition, consider how you may improve each of these aspects. If you see that you're motivated, for example, through conversing with clients, how can you be sure you're dealing with the right people on a regular basis with them? Second, where do you think you've had the most success? Return to your projects or customers. Where did you have the most success? What factors contributed to your success? Was it your ability to pay attention to the smallest details? Perhaps you excel at coming up with new ideas. Knowing what you're good at can help you figure out what you want to do with your life. Where should you spend your time in the future? If you exclusively work on your flaws, you'll never get far. You'll end up being a below-average worker. Getting to the bottom of your flaws where they aren't actively preventing you from succeeding, however, the majority of your time is spent. Spend the majority of your time maximizing your own abilities. Finally, how far have you progressed? Take a long look at this. Rather of looking king at where you are right now, examine the places where you've made progress. Taking this perspective will assist you in discovering some useful information. One of your more natural abilities, then show you how to harness that growth into different sections. If you've seen that ability, for example, the ability to delegate specific tasks has increased. You might wish to concentrate on honing your leadership abilities even more. When you've figured out where you naturally grew, that can be a fantastic starting point for the sake of future development. If you don't get a formal performance review, it's time to look for a new job from your supervisor or another executive in your company. You'll get an informal one every day, believe me. So be sure you're up to the task. Spend some time evaluating your situation. Specific obligations and tasks are assigned to these roles. However, following that more conventional examination, go a little further and take a more in-depth, all-encompassing look at oneself. When you're doing a self-evaluation, maintain as much objectivity as possible. Either a self-absorbed in a discourse or a self-absorbed in a dialogue are the two extremes. Or critical of oneself, both are ineffective. Instead, focus on what you're good at and how to make the most of your assets. Don't go crazy with the self-criticism. Trying to be perfect can prevent you from being great. In the most crucial aspects, if you've been putting in a lot of effort at work or recently won something, it's time to celebrate. When you are not recognized, it can be painful. When you're guiding yourself, however, you have the chance to do so. To acknowledge your own achievements. So, If you don't want to arrange an all-inclusive holiday, or devouring a whole box of Thin Mints, how do you give yourself a reward? And acknowledge your achievements. The first step is to jot down your thoughts. Keeping a running track of your accomplishments, perhaps the challenges you overcome, will boost your self-assurance, can assist you in resetting. If you come across another stumbling block a short distance away, make a detailed record of what you did. Who is affected, and why does it matter? I keep track of my big wins in Evernote. And just by looking at the list, it's clear that there's a lot. It makes me happy and proud. Another approach to reward oneself is to converse with others. Who will be impacted by your findings? Have you found a solution to a common consumer problem? Speak with a customer whose life or business has improved as a result of your services. Because of your efforts. You don't have to gloat about what you've accomplished to them. However, hearing about how you and your company assisted them will make you feel proud. Then, within reason, treat yourself. Maybe you're going out for coffee with a pal. Perhaps it's enrolling in a yoga class. When it's raining, take an Uber instead of the bus. Taking time to look after yourself, it's crucial after a victory. It keeps you aware of the impact you've had. It also prevents you from jumping right into the next thing. Are lattes and Uber rides enough to keep you going for the long haul? No, although they will have a short-term effect on your mood. And this is crucial because you want to be able to join the synapses in the brain. You will like your work if you do it well. This isn't your typical pee-wee game. There are no participation prizes in business. All you have are the benefits you earn. You can get them from your boss at times. You give them to yourself at times. Nobody enjoys failing. However, it occurs to everyone on a regular basis. Throughout one's career, moreover, if you are a great achiever, you'll be more likely to fail, and it'll hurt more. It's the price you have to pay for having big dreams. If you've made a mistake, don't be afraid to admit it. What do you do before approaching your supervisor about it? Allow yourself to feel sorry for yourself for a moment. High performers frequently use the comeback method immediately away. Ignore the period of disappointment. You have the emotion inside of you. It's not going away by burying it. It simply gets worse. So get in your vehicle. Cry in a pillow, scream in a pillow. It's all right. Now is the time to relax. Consider the consequences of your failure seriously. The sun will rise tomorrow, no matter how small or large it seems. Remind yourself of how far you've come. Take a deep breath and collect your thoughts. Next, try to remedy it, or at the very least accept it. If the error is correctable, you must begin thinking about how to correct it. Discussing what needs to be done and who needs to be involved. Start accepting it if it's not fixable. And pondering how you'll present it to your boss after that. Give yourself a short pick-me-up. If you're in sales and you've recently lost a major client, pay a visit to one of your favorite clients. Refocus your thoughts. Make a simple accomplishment that makes you happy. Finally, take something away from it. It may sound corny, but believe me when I say that it is true. Everyone makes blunders. However, you do not have to commit the same error twice. Recognize patterns that may exist. Are you making blunders because you're not paying attention? Paying too much attention to details and reacting too swiftly? Getting to the bottom of how to lead yourself out of failure. It's a difficult task to learn from past mistakes and avoid making them again. But it'll be worth it in the end. So, how do you deal with your boss's failure? If you're a top performer, you've most likely already beaten yourself up enough before your boss has an opportunity to do so. As a result, it's critical that you handle this topic in a method that does not result in you losing your reputation. After a failure, most people talk to their supervisor. They have a tendency to do a couple of things that really exacerbates the problem. The first error is to minimize the error. Your employer shouldn't have to justify himself. How critical something is explain why a minor blunder could turn into a major one. Treat the error as if it were a significant one. The same may be said about kicking other folks out right away. Beneath the bus, I understand. You want to keep your dignity. However, even if additional persons were involved, whatever snafu you're up to, it's not a smart idea for you to point the finger at them first. Accept responsibility for your involvement in the problem. It gives your boss more confidence when you own it. Deflecting it would be more beneficial to you than deflecting it. Finally, I'm stumped as to how to solve it. Even if you're not certain how to correct the error, or if the error is actually irreversible, walk into the discussion with some suggestions for how to improve things, or at the very least, avoid making the same error again. Demonstrate to your manager that this is a unique situation. A difficult period of development. There will not be a pattern of conduct in this case. Don't put up a fight. Take a cue from the martial arts. Rather than defending, put that energy to good use by directing it toward a solution. Failure is difficult to overcome. However, in the midst of all, you must manage your own thinking. Makes you more tenacious and effective as a leader. We all want to be recognized for our efforts. However, we are generally hesitant to brag about our achievements. Women in particular. This is something I've done myself. It's a quagmire because your abilities are limited. To be able to display and be recognized for your greatest work is critical for employment, promotions, and advancement. As well as your general reputation, individuals who brag to annoy you are most likely those who they never stop talking about themselves. However, don't be fooled by their loud self-promotion. Make you believe that's the only way to be noticed. Here are 4 suggestions for dealing with the strangeness and the annoyance of self-promotion. First, make an effect with your words, then follow up with your deeds. Your achievements should be highlighted. In terms of the distinction they make to another person or an organization, this increases your effect without focusing just on you. For instance, if you had a brilliant marketing concept, to begin, I'm very enthusiastic about this. Because it makes it possible for us to generate more leads and deepen our relationships with our current customers and expand our brand. I'm pleased with the results of my efforts. As a result of the fact that it will continue to generate in the future, there will be even more results. Identifying your influence versus. I put a lot of effort into this. Establishes you as a more strategic player. It allows others to realize not only how terrific you are personally, but also how excellent you are professionally. It also allows them to see how valuable they are. What you've brought to the table. It's also less embarrassing for you to say, instead of looking at me, look at me, here's the consequence. The second thing to do is to help others. Golden leadership's rule is to give the kind of comments you'd like to get. Make it a practice to compliment others on their work, particularly for items that could otherwise go unnoticed. It contributes to the development of a celebratory culture. Recognition and camaraderie are 2 things that come to mind. Use people's names and explain how they influenced you. If you're having a bad day, you don't get nearly enough compliments, start giving others more good remarks. It will be returned to you. Third, connect your efforts to broader goals. When you connect your efforts to a bigger initiative, they become more powerful. Your accomplishment isn't solely about you. It's about making a significant contribution to something larger than yourself. Everyone will perceive you as a valuable leader as a result of this, regardless of your position within the organization. Finally, make peace with true braggadocio. Find a colleague with whom you have a good relationship, a companion, or even your dog, and unashamedly brag about how great you are. There were no qualifiers or minimizers, as if it weren't a major matter. It wasn't too difficult, or I had a lot of assistance. Instead, make a square with your shoulders. Say, look me in the eyes, to the person or puppy. I like to brag about how well I did. In the midst of the day-to-day grind, it's not uncommon to feel insecure about your accomplishments. are dropping on deafening. That's a formula for exhaustion. Bring your successes to avoid this. To the front of the line. It doesn't have to be embarrassing to mention your successes. It's a chance for you to brag about your excellent job. Establish yourself as a leader in the context of others. In this course, we've discussed a variety of topics about how to frame your boss's failures and triumphs, but how do you go about guiding yourself on a daily basis without jeopardizing your boss's power? That's all there is to it. Put yourself in the shoes of your supervisor. The purpose of self-leadership is to transform you, as well as your boss's success, not to suffocate or supplant them. So you don't want to barge into your boss's office, do you? I don't need your help, he says. I'm guiding myself because I'm leading myself. That's a little self-centered, and it's probably not totally accurate. It'll also make your boss happy. They don't seem to be doing a good job if they are not valued. You wish to go in the opposite direction. You want to demonstrate that you're self-aware and organized. Ensure that you are aware of the type of assistance you require. Keeping your supervisor interested is essential. Is critical to both your and their success. Here are 3 strategies for getting the most out of your boss. What do you mean by a strategic initiative? And, maybe more crucially, how you might assist. Introducing a strategic initiative, whether it's increasing retention or taking on a new competition, demonstrates that you are a strategic thinker, and then making some recommendations on how you may assist your boss in resolving those issues makes your boss feel good about himself. It also allows them to regard you as really valued. It's also more likely to improve your situation. Later on, I'll have more intriguing assignments. You can also enlist their assistance with something really special. Make certain it's something they excel at. Perhaps your supervisor is extremely well organized. Or you're a natural at dealing with people, or you're a master at delegating. Requesting them assistance in an area where they excel gives you their most creative ideas as well as the advantages of professional development. It also makes your supervisor feel important. Now, if 2 chats don't seem to be going anywhere, completely natural for you, there is one question that is unassailable. When you're leading yourself, you can always ask your boss, "What can I do to help you?" Now, if you're lucky enough to have a fantastic boss, they're probably asking you how they can help you on a daily basis. However, you must do the same for them. My father often told me, you see, regardless of your position or occupation, making your employer succeed is a component of every assignment. If you know your boss is going to a large meeting, for example, her supervisor is coming up, and they're going to go over things. Offer to assist your boss in practicing with the new product range. Perhaps conduct some background research. This isn't a case of sucking up. It's all about being truly useful and valuable. Inquiring about your boss's requirements and what you can do to help them, it portrays you as dependable and dedicated. Your manager is likely to assign you to more intriguing initiatives. And you'll be at the forefront of their minds if they get promoted and need to find someone to take their position. It demonstrates your ability to take charge of your own destiny, as well as your potential to lead others. Your peers can be really helpful in making the most of your leadership success if the partnership is well managed. Here are some of the people you'll meet over the course of your professional life. For starters, there are other exceptional achievers. I used to work for Procter & Gamble as a young salesperson. One of my biggest blunders, I used to think of my classmates as competitors. I wish someone had remarked, "Look around the room," or something like. The individuals you see around you are the folks you'll be doing business with. You'll be vice presidents and executives in 20 years. So learn to know one another so you can count on one another in the near future. So I'm telling you right now, find other high-performing people and get them to participate. Even if no one has spoken up against the language or actions, we're talking about taking charge of your own destiny. This is something that your other high achievers are doing. Make use of this group for assistance and offer to assist them as well. I had no idea 30 years ago that I would one day operate a consultancy firm and my peers would be in charge of other businesses, would become co-workers and customers for each other. In retrospect, I wish I'd known. There's plenty of good fortune to go around. As well as your peers who excel can be a source of life strength, sharing techniques and tips can help you stay on track. As well as the risk of isolation. Second, they are middle of the pack performers. When it comes to middle performers, you have the chance to lead others to new heights. This group may be intrigued by your presence, or even bewilderment. Don't be put off by a lack of immediate comprehension or disapproval as a negative. Some people are simply perplexed or unsure of what is going on. Help them understand what it means to lead yourself. If you come across someone who is eager to learn, take advantage of it. You have the chance to instruct. If you've said stuff like self-evaluation, creating personal objectives, or attempting to pull yourself out of a rut, and you were greeted with a chuckle or told you were overly concerned, that is a hint. Some folks will think you're a huge nerd. The office gossip, on the other hand, is going to be a lot less fun. 20 years from now, they'll be seated in the same office. Don't be discouraged by these people. Not everyone is driven by their own desires. That's okay if you're looking to expand. However, you will never achieve greatness. If you wait for universal buy-in, it will be too late. It's difficult to lead yourself. Stay focused even if people around you aren't. If you want to act like the rest of the world, you'll end up being extremely average. Self-leadership necessitates initiative and dedication. Both of these characteristics are found in great performers. If you're a leader who's putting your skills to the test, some of the strategies we've discussed in this class, how can you persuade your coworkers to follow suit? To begin, recommend that they watch this course. Why are you trying to rehash everything here, when you can just rewind me and repeat what I just said? There are also other practical options. To introduce notions of self-leadership to your group, first and foremost, do not overwhelm the team. Instead, begin modest. Tell them you keep track of your victories or how you make decisions. Where you'll be spending your time, it's not a yes or no question when it comes to leading oneself. It's a set of attitudes, behaviors, and expressions that each person will be able to use in a unique way. You've got to start with something small. You may assist your team by simply discussing what it implies. Should accept some of the blame for your own leadership or the significance of self-awareness, to name a few examples. You can also volunteer to assist. It may seem paradoxical, yet people require demonstration. Before they can truly achieve it, they must first learn how to lead themselves. I felt as if I needed to see some fashion examples. What good appears to be I used to wear baggy sweaters before I quit. This course, the How-To Guide, contains hints. Make it clear that this does not rule out your participation. If you aren't there to help, an employee that is capable of leading themselves will gain even more benefits. So, lead by example, based on your persistent self-leadership. If you tell your staff that they need to set monthly targets, they will. You, on the other hand, lack any. Getting people to take responsibility is difficult. It doesn't mean you're immune just because you're the boss. To adhere to these guidelines, be loud about what you preach and put what you teach into practice. And be forthright about it. If your employer approached you and said, "I'm going to make a change," you'd be surprised. A more proactive approach to establishing quarterly objectives. Is it possible for us to schedule a meeting to discuss my objectives? How do you feel about it? What a knucklehead. No, you'd most likely think to yourself, wow, what a disciplined individual. That is something I can learn from and be motivated to do. The concept of self-direction. It may appear that this throws a huge knot in the org chart, however it doesn't have to, though. You have the ability to guide yourself. While yet adhering to your company's hierarchy, all you need to know is how to keep track of your conversations with your bosses, co-workers, and subordinates. Here are a few pointers. When you're speaking with your bosses, don't make everything about you. It's wonderful to take charge of your own destiny. Then you could feel compelled to go over with your supervisor on every detail and plan, or any other type of organizational leader. Don't give in to the temptation. If you develop specific habits, you will be more successful that have shown to be beneficial to you. For instance, if you discovered that keeping a list was difficult for you, it's been beneficial to learn about some of your successes. Please share your motivation. Simply put, I keep a list of my accomplishments to keep myself motivated. What methods do you use to stay motivated? You don't have to go overboard with every habit or an in-depth explanation of what it means to you to lead yourself. Above all, don't ever throw your supervisor under the bus. Even if they are a bad leader that you despise, you don't look nice in that. Find something to applaud, if nothing else. Maybe they can truly help you figure out what you want to achieve. Or perhaps they stress the significance of self-awareness. Trying to find something positive as well as connecting it to your own leadership, that's beneficial to both you and them. Then there's the possibility of having a discussion with your peers. Peers are either like-minded great achievers, or they aren't. Middle of the road but open-minded, or pessimistic. The way you handle the connection depends a lot on the person you're chatting with. The prevailing ethos, on the other hand, should be one of inclusivity. You are not superior than anyone else because you are in charge of yourself. Be welcoming to others and invite them to join you. If you want to be recognized as a company leader, I'm not a person who makes snap decisions. Being an open-minded, inviting leader benefits subordinates. It becomes even more crucial. We all have role models who have influenced our professional lives. Even if it's just a single remark, and now you have the chance to help others in the same way. What are some things you wish you'd known sooner? What could have been done differently to avoid this blunder? Please forward this to them. It is beneficial to them. It's also a good mental workout to allow you to reminisce about your own job experiences. It doesn't matter who you're dealing with. You want to be genuine as well as helpful. Even if you're not looking for a new job, getting a new boss is a big step. It can be nerve-wracking to start a new job. But don't be concerned. You're well aware that directing yourself is difficult, as well as having a positive working relationship with your supervisor are not in odds with each other. They are intertwined. So, here are a few options for you. To get the relationship off to a good start, begin by acknowledging that your employer is a jerk. Is almost certainly just as eager to make a strong first impression as you are. As you already are, the relationship between the employer and the employee is gradually becoming more of a two-way street. Your new boss is hoping that you would like them and be enthusiastic about collaborating with them. They want you to believe they are a capable leader. They're honest, and they're invested in your growth. Make them feel at ease by expressing your excitement for collaborating. It will help them feel more at ease. And they'll most likely share your enthusiasm. This will help you feel less anxious. Then, make your connection successful by establishing clear expectations. Even if you remain in the same position, inquire about your new boss's definition of success. Within the first 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days in a virtual world that is always changing, the stage of getting to know each other can be, at best, succinct. People take on new responsibilities with a wide range of aspirations and goals, as well as preconceptions. A high-level discussion about their expectations of you, and, to be honest, vice versa, starts everyone off on the right foot. Also, keep an eye on those expectations by asking questions frequently and early. Now is a better time to figure out what their version of correct is. After you've both regained your reputational grace due to the fact that this is a new relationship, instead of 6 months from now. Obtaining confirmation from a new boss will assist in the quieting of some of the "I'm hoping I'm expressing myself correctly." Then, act as a resource. As hierarchies grow in size, they are shorter than they are tall. You have the potential to be a tremendous asset to your boss. Even if you're a newcomer to the company, offering assistance, especially early on, is a great way to start. Establishes the foundation for a long-term, mutually beneficial relationship. A relationship's initial few weeks are crucial. Will lay the groundwork for the direction. Going forward, there will be changes in dynamics and behaviors. Your new boss's relationship with you has the same pillars as the foundation of any long-term connection. Expectations are clear, and communication is ongoing, as well as mutual assistance. Whether or not a major career move is something you want to do. Alternatively, if it was forced upon you, walking into an unfamiliar scenario can be nerve-wracking. Your capacity to silence your fear, on the other hand, is impressive. And confidently embark on this new adventure will establish the foundation for a good outcome. Next play will be more rewarding. Here are some pointers to help you get off to a good start. Keep your bridges intact. I know you're itching to jump in. But before you jump into this new adventure, make certain you aren't abandoning individuals who aided you in your ascent to the top of the mountain. Keep in touch on a regular basis with coworkers from past positions, even if it wasn't your ideal plan to leave. Those are the folks who will become your contacts. Your coworkers, and possibly even your customers in a different venture. The globe is never as big as you believe it is. Second, maintain consistency in non-work aspects of your life. If at all possible, avoid changing careers. At the same time, your physical location and your personal life. Your brain need a sense of calm and security to free up space in at least some regions and adjust to a new work path. Having a solid foundation can also help you be more resilient. If you do come across any early workplace difficulties, don't give up. And remember to be adaptable. Remember, even if your next game isn't as successful as the last one, doesn't turn out the way you planned in the long term, the experience will be beneficial. If you walk into your next job expecting it to be difficult, you will be disappointed. To be the most meticulously built career stepping stone, then it isn't, so take a deep breath. And acknowledge that top performers frequently do things that others don't. That don't seem to go together at first. In his book, Range, Why Generalists Win, he explains why generalists win. Author David Epstein discusses his book In a Specialized World. Cites his study of the world's best athletes, ranging from professional athletes to Nobel laureates, to show that great achievers' paths are not all the same, aren't always in a straight line. According to Epstein, top performers, they frequently arrive late. They cover a wide range of topics, roles, and sectors. Andrew Mason, the creator of Groupon, for example, he has a music degree. Steve Jobs thought calligraphy was one of them. One of his most crucial classes. Epstein now argues that these exceptional achievers should be rewarded. Despite their career detours, don't succeed, they do, however, prosper as a result of them. These great achievers gain knowledge and experience. Whether it's through classes, alternative roles, or new sectors, there's something for everyone. That will allow them to prosper in the long run, regardless of how in-depth the interview is, or the amount of research you put into this new possibility. There isn't a crystal ball, which is fine. Accept the truth that you won't know everything. How things are going to turn out. A career transition can be a thrilling experience. Despite this, many people succumb to the worry of things not going as planned. Rob them of this life-changing experience. Take advantage of fresh opportunities. You'll be able to manage this new experience with confidence. The term disruption, often overused. It's also a word with which we associate a great deal of anxiety. It'll be mentioned a lot. For anything arising from a massive merger, to a new login procedure for time. When things abruptly shift, it's quite easy to get into an emotional tangle. My life has been disrupted numerous times. When my company was bought out, when a company we used to work for went out of business, and when a whole company was included. Here's what I've discovered. To begin, determine what is causing the disruption. To get the most out of this, you'll need to be a good leader. You must be aware of the facts. And, in many cases, the facts aren't as frightening as they appear. How everyone portrays them to be. Take a step back and look at the larger picture. What does this mean for your business, specifically? For your business, for your adversaries? When you take a step back and look at the broader picture, you'll frequently discover that the change isn't as drastic as you might think. As you had anticipated. But, even if it is that significant, this high-level view will assist you in evaluating the information. Then narrow it down to your specific role. What effect will this have on the way you do your job? Is it true that certain aspects are now more or less important? What becomes easier or more difficult? Will things start to alter right away, or will it take a while? If that examination of the facts makes you feel uneasy, enlist the help of people who aren't affiliated with your company. If the change is significant, everyone in your department, if not the whole organization, is going through the same emotional turmoil as you. It's likely that you'll feed off each other's anxiety. Potentially aggravate the situation. Friends, family, and mentors are all good places to start. Previously employed coworkers, as well as internet communities, can provide you with greater assistance and a more balanced lifestyle. A less frenetic viewpoint. Once you've established the facts, you can move on to the next step. And you've got a solid support system in place. Concentrate on what you have control over. Consider how you and your team could improve. Can adapt to the new situation. Investigate how other businesses operate. Have dealt with comparable setbacks or acquire new abilities. Learn more about LinkedIn Learning. About guiding people through change. You can't be in charge of everything. However, you have power over yourself and your reactions. Cassandra Worthy, a change management expert, states, "Belief is the difference between hope and fear. Believe that, despite the fact that this disturbance is frightening, even if it causes temporary annoyance or pain. For you, this will be a learning experience. You want to have the same level of mindfulness and ambition as them, as well as your tenacity on a daily basis, so that you can take charge of this situation. As a leader, you have no idea what your future holds in terms of work. But be aware of what's in store for you. If you don't have control over your own fate, someone else will take care of it. Taking charge of your own destiny does not imply dismissing your boss or the company you work for. It's about taking control of your own destiny. It's all about being self-governing when it comes to leading oneself. At first glance, self-government appears to be a good thing. Although it may not appear to be thrilling, however, once implemented, it is extremely effective. There are 3 main points we want you to keep in mind. A result of this course: first and foremost, the only thing you have control over is yourself. Is your own conduct. Your ability to control your feelings. And it's your behavior that puts you in command. Second, directing yourself brings you where you want to go. From reactive to proactive when you move your focus away from simply reacting, and you cultivate that long-term perspective. That is what distinguishes you from the rest of the pack. Finally, self-direction is the way to go. Attain true maturity and pleasure for a lifetime. If you expose yourself to this, you'll never be happy. Other people's whims, your ability to self-motivate and reward oneself and to cultivate a sense of fortitude, it does more than improve your leadership skills. It improves your character. You can become one of them by leading yourself. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.